jumpers. And we are carry lot from jumpers. Come on, let me walk one now. I walk one now. Hey, walk one, everybody one.
Yes, yes, yes.
If
It's
you're ready
another
and you know it, clap your
Tuesday.
hand. Welcome,
Hello.
welcome, welcome, welcome to Campus Connection, each and every one. I am Jonathan Fletcher, and
And
with
I'm
my
Anessa.
co-host, Anesta.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have a very interesting show lined up for you this evening. When I say interesting, I really do mean interesting. I know I say that almost every week, but
Yeah.
this week, for sure, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're listening on the FM band, greetings to you. If you want to see our lovely faces, you can jump on or YouTube
Wow.
or
Okay.
Facebook live stream
Okay.
at Club 101 FM Jamaica and join in on the fun because we're going to be having some very interesting conversations and we want you to be a part of those.
Absolutely, absolutely. So before we go any further, we just want to inform you that we do have our season break coming up next Tuesday, December 20th. So we are going on season break. We're going to miss
Hmm.
you guys, but we know you'll be enjoying the holiday period. So we know you're not going to miss us too much. We will miss you,
Oh,
but we know
definitely.
you're not going to miss us too much as we break for the Christmas holidays. That's going to be fun.
Without a shadow of a doubt. So, Christmas will come.
Wow,
And
Rama.
actually, I want you guys. Wow, wow. Did you
Ah,
really? Did you
I
really?
had to. You opened
Did
that door,
you?
and I just had
All
to
right, you
like,
walked in. All right,
yeah,
cool,
yeah.
cool. But before we go on our season break, let's tell you what's going to happen for this show. So we have
Mm.
education news and bulletin, and then at 5:40 we have 5 minutes with the Annie Dawson Girls
Woo,
Home or
woo, woo, woo.
Christmas special. At 5:45 we have honor roll, and we'll be speaking with the ISSA under 19 rural and urban netball competition champions. At 5:40, sorry, Coach Ryan and Captain Brianna Nevers of the St. Catherine High, and they are the urban winners. Team manager Miss Terrian Brown and Captain Ashari Thomas Glenmuir High, and they are the rural winners. And what's coming
Yes,
up at 6:05?
we have the let's talk about it segment. Oh my
Yeah,
lord. Okay, so the
yeah.
topic is reviewing the age of consent, the pros and cons of reviewing the age of consent. We
Mm-hmm.
have Senator Damian Crawford, spokesperson on education, training, and competitiveness. We
Mm-hmm.
have Noel Lewin II, Youth Prime Minister in the National Youth Parliament of Jamaica. We have Mrs. Glenisha Higgins, Christian life coach, Donovan Campbell, youth coordinator at Trumpet Call Ministries, and Sandrine Morris, opposition leader in the National Youth Parliament of Jamaica. So
Yeah.
we have some heavy hitters.
Heavy hitters. Heavy
Oh
hitters.
my lord.
So
And
right now they need to share the live, right?
yes, please,
Yeah.
please do. And we want you to send us your feedback as usual. The WhatsApp line is open, the comment section is open. We definitely need your input on this topic, reviewing the age of consent, the pros and cons.
Yep. I am excited and I am ready to go, to be very honest with you. But before that, we will be telling you what's going on in our education news and bulletin. So, news and bulletin for Tuesday, December 13, here inside Campus Connection. Professor Lorraine Cook, educational psychologist and senior lecturer at the University of the West Indies, Mona, has called on teachers to better understand themselves in managing students, saying training institutions should focus on helping educators unpack their own life history, experiences, and beliefs, which she says shapes their classroom approach.
Cook, a senior in research methods and educational psychology at the School of Education, in delivering her inaugural professorial lecture last Thursday evening, titled Differences in the Classroom Deeper Than What You See or Think, said the Jamaican education problem is multifaceted and requires a multidisciplinary solution.
The call is for teachers to better understand themselves, how their differences impact the classroom, and how those differences interact with children's differences. Of course, this involves teacher training institutions administering different instruments to help teachers in training to understand their own life history and how their own experiences and beliefs will influence interactions in the classroom, Professor Cook pointed out.
She said, quote, in so doing, those teachers who are disposed to using verbal abuse as a tool for behavioral management will be able to understand themselves early in their career and how their experiences with harsh disciplinary strategies as children dispose them to use the same disciplinary strategies as adults towards children who they are not responsible for in the classroom, end quote.
The 17-year-old Kingston Technical High School female student who is charged with the recent death of her schoolmate will not be home for Christmas. This is after the teen was further remanded in custody when the matter was heard in the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court last week. The teen, whose name cannot be released due to her age, will be brought back to court on January 11, 2023. The presiding judge had previously imposed a gag order on the case when it was last mentioned on November 9. And so, very little details of what transpired in court during the proceedings can be readily ascertained. The accused teen is charged with the murder of 16-year-old Michian Campbell of 9 Miles Bull Bay in St. Andrew.
Former Jamaica Teachers Association JTA President Clayton Hall is seeking to encourage a culture of writing among educators, noting that it would not just benefit Jamaica's education sector, but would also provide an alternative source of income for teachers. Hall, who says he's planning to lead by example, urged dozens of retired teachers to take up the challenge. Quote, one of the lacking segments within the Jamaican educational context is that educators often don't write books, end quote. If you
Co-
look at postgraduate study all across the world, you realize that much of the material used reflects the practice and experience of persons who have been in the system, where they do case studies using students, they tell about their experiences, and this forms rich content for the younger generation, the next generation of leaders, the next generation of practitioners. Can you just imagine if we had principals, great principals of the past, if they had written of their experiences in education? That would form significant fodder for those new principals coming up to learn from them vicariously. End quote, Hall said. Hall further stated that there are teachers who have taught different subject areas for decades and are a bank of experience which often goes to waste after they leave the education system. If we would encourage a culture of writing where teachers would see being an author as a natural progression, not only would we have excellent textbooks which would bear the experiential knowledge of these excellent practitioners, but we would also find a repository of information that the next generation could build on, Hall said. He said his book would allow him to leave a mark and also serve as an alternative income, a system he wants to introduce to those in the sector.
Our bulletin for today. In light of the negative attention that some of our schools have been receiving lately, the Oberlin High School PTA Executive Body, the Dean of Discipline, and the Guidance Counseling Department will be hosting a concert dubbed Passion and Purity on the school grounds on December 20, 2022 from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. This concert will be open to the school population and the surrounding communities. For more details of how you can be a part of this, call 876-432-3292. That's all the news we have for you today inside Education News and Bulletin.
Awesome.
Yes,
And
yes, yes.
and now it's time to present our Christmas feature, which I'm super excited about.
Mm-hmm. So, Love 101 presents to you our Christmas special feature brought to you by Campus Connection. 5 minutes with Annie Dawson, Girls Home. Listen and take notes.
So many people. For some, it's a time of joy and laughter and special moments with family and friends. For others, it's a reminder of the absence of these things. Many young people across the island don't have family, parents, or loved ones to share in the joy of Christmas with them. But there is one group of people who is committed to making a difference in some of these young lives throughout this holiday season and all year round. And that's the leadership and staff at the Annie Dawson Home for Children.
So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you think you're unloved. Everybody say that's a lie. That's a lie. I am loved.
When Miss Eveline Nicky founded the Annie Dawson Home for Children in 2013, she wanted to make a difference in the lives of young girls who needed a loving home. She began in a leased residence with 9 children placed by the Child Development Agency. But within just 2 years, the number of children had quickly climbed to 28. Currently, the Annie Dawson home is a safe haven for 27 girls aged 3 to 17. These include girls who are visually impaired and require the use of braille machines to facilitate their educational programs. And then there are those with physical disability, requiring the use of a walker or a wheelchair and private transportation to school. Children with autism, bipolar disorder, post traumatic stress disorder, and a host of other learning disabilities requiring special education programs. Annie Dawson Home for Children cares for girls who have had to deal with physical, emotional, and sexual abuse, parental and societal neglect, unsuitable living conditions, human trafficking, and mental illness. The home's mission is to provide a safe, family oriented environment where they are loved, nurtured, and protected. This is so that they may heal, grow, and flourish into whole human beings, thereby accomplishing their divine purpose. But you too can make a difference. This Christmas season, as you wrap this Christmas season, as you wrap presents to tuck under your tree, as you go shopping and stuff stockings, remember the girls at the Annie Dawson Home for Children and those in children's homes all across our island. They depend on your kindness to believe that they are not forgotten. Why not get together with family or friends and give toys, groceries, or even a monetary donation to help with bills or other expenses? The Annie Dawson Home for Children welcomes your contribution, whether locally or overseas, using PayPal from their secure website at www.anniedawsonchildren.com or using NCB bank account transfer to Annie Dawson Home for Children using the account number 234 359 142. That's 234 359 142. You may also contact them to find out how you can make a donation in kind. This Christmas, share the love with those who need it most.
Okay, where are the campus eyes?
Woo! Oh, I'm so excited about that project. Please, if you are listening, I know something is tugging on your heart. Like, yeah, I really need to help somebody this holiday season. So please reach out to the Annie Dawson Girls Home and help in whatever way you can. Cash or kind is more than welcome. All right, so moving on to the next segment in an exciting and thrilling contest. St. Catherine High defeated the defending champions Gainstead High 26-23 in the 2020 Intersecondary School Sports Association ISSA Urban Area Under 19 Schoolgirl Netball Competition. The grand finale was held at the National Indoor Sports Center last Thursday. Glenmuir High defeated Manchester High 39-35 to take the under 19 rural crown. So we have all of these champions with us today. And I believe
Definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, we have these champions today. But before we get into the niceness, we are going to have a quick break and get right back with all things rural and urban under 19 schoolgirl netball competition. We'll be back after these messages.
NIS Pensioners, the Ministry of Labor and Social Security reminds you to submit your completed life certificates to ensure continued payment of your NIS benefits. Remember to sign the life certificate and have it witnessed by any authorized person indicated on the life certificate before submitting it. For further information, contact the National Insurance Scheme 876-922-8000-14 or visit the ministry's website. The National Insurance Scheme, always working for you. A message from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
National serving the people of Jamaica with your favorite foods to help you stay strong. Grab your national bottle, original, truly Jamaican. Something for all occasion, good for your breakfast, lunch or snack. Grab your national bottle, original, truly Jamaican. Best quality, 70 years strong. National build up the nation. National Baking Company, baked with pride since 52.
Big discounts are coming to town. It's the Santa Stick Christmas sale at Home and Things. Enjoy holiday savings on all your favorite tiles, bathroom fixtures and faucets, vanities, windows and doors, lighting, home decor, and more. Check out dazzling deals on new arrivals. Unwrap the discounts on all your festive finds at Home and Things. Old Hope Road and Constant Spring Road. It's a Santa Stick Christmas sale you don't want to miss at Home and Things this Christmas.
Precious moments we share with you, everything so right. Malta, you're full of life.
The time by Malta is...
The time now is 5:46. Welcome back to Campus Connection. If you're just joining us, we will now be speaking with, listen to me, we're speaking with champions, so you better draw near and listen carefully. Right, we're talking with the 2022 Inter-Secondary School Sports Association Urban Area Under 19 Schoolgirl Netball Competition champions.
Right.
Let's welcome them. That was a lot.
That was a whole lot.
Let's welcome them. Yeah, man, I see them coming in. They're coming in. Greetings, everybody.
Hi. Hello. Welcome to Campus Connection.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Awesome. I am humbled to be in the presence of champions. It's not an easy thing to be a champion. All right, so Coach Ryan Reed and Captain Brianna Nevers, St. Catherine High Urban winner. Team manager Miss Terrian Brown and Captain Ashari Thomas, Glenmuir High Rural winner. So we have a full house. If you're listening and just joining us. All right, so Mr. Reed and Miss Brown, let's start with you. Could you share with us a little bit about the professional career and why did you choose netball? We'll start with Miss Brown.
Okay. Well, I am a business teacher and netball is in my blood. It has always been my passion. And I started St. Catherine High in 2019 and whenever I was passing the netball court, I always saw them over there practicing. I was like, I can't just pass. I can't just be a part of the school and not be a part of netball. So my passion I've been playing from primary school, high school, a little bit of college. But I know that once I saw them, I had to be a part of the team, even though I'm a business teacher.
Awesome. Coach Reed.
Good evening, how you doing?
Greetings.
Hello.
Why netball?
It's Glenmuir High School, not St. Catherine.
Glenmuir.
Why netball? Honestly,
my apologies.
I've been at Glenmuir I've been coaching the netball for I think about 20 years. Well, I started off as a football coach, but I was drawn to netball because at the pace at which it was played. And at the time, Glimmer was actually playing netball, and I had stopped by, and they had made a finals. So from then, I just stuck with it, and I kind of abandoned football a bit for netball.
Awesome. So let me speak to the captains now. Let me address the winning captains. First of all, I want to ask you both, why netball? I mean, what got you passionate about this sport? Let me start with Brianna and then we'll go to Ashari. So just go ahead and unmute, Brianna. Okay, it seems we're having a little issue with Brianna's connection. So what about you, Ashari? Why netball?
Uh, I have developed a very keen interest in netball since primary school. I actually used to do track and field and netball, but
Okay.
then I passed for St. Catherine High School and I was forced to only do one. But
Uh,
netball has my heart and will always have it.
wow. That's a serious statement right there. No.
Forced.
So, Brianna, are you back with us or
All
it
right. Seems as
seems we
if
might have
having
lost
some
her?
issues with Brianna. But Miss Brown, tell us, how did COVID impact, training and all of that?
Wow. So, I mean, when once training started, COVID protocols were still in place. So we had to have the girls, still practicing, doing safe practices. So whenever someone was sick, they could come to training. Once you're feeling ill, no training. And we would ask the girls still at home, even if you're feeling okay, still run around the house a little bit, still run around the yard. Yeah, keep active because
Yeah.
a lot of them were okay despite having COVID. Because with COVID, you have severe symptoms and the ones that are not so bad. So we're like, if you're not so bad, if you're okay, And I mean, that's how it impacted it. It kept us going. It made them push harder because knowing they had to make up for the time that they had lost.
Okay. Coach Reed, how about on your side?
It affected us a lot, but we had to adhere by the new rules. So we did some online training sessions because we weren't able to train in person. So what we did, we just did a lot of physical work, like a lot of aerobics, and would have looked at drills, would have tried to do some drills with the girls at home. And so it kind of kept us fit for a while. And when they resumed, we actually had a little bit of condition, so how it impacted us a lot because it has affected the under 16 somewhat, but it's just what it is. We just have to live with it and move on.
Right. So we know that winning in any sport, it's a combination of factors that would have affected the outcome of any championship. So what would you say are some of the key factors that led to your school winning the netball championships for this particular year? So I'm going to start with Miss Brown, and then we'll move to back to Coach Reed.
Okay, so I believe our team won mainly because they stayed focused. Focus, determination, prayer, work, conquered all. That's all we did. They knew the game plan, they stuck to the game plan, they worked assiduously. They were just always pushing, pushing, getting harder, getting better. And I believe that was what brought them over the edge for them to win the competition. Non-stop determination.
Mhm. Wow. What about you, Coach Reed?
Um, as I said in a few of my interviews, it was the determination from the girls and the hard work because
Yeah.
we had we had lost a few finals and semifinals before, and the girls are adamant about winning a championship. And
Mm.
they work hard, they work assiduously, and a lot of times they don't want to train, but they still end up training because they get
Mm.
the eye on the prize, and that was to win because they didn't want to lose again. So it
Yes.
motivated each other day after day, and that kind
Mm.
of gives them the drive to push to be
Yes.
champions.
Nice, nice. And Ashari, as a student, um, how does it feel, to be able to represent your school at this level?
It feels amazing. It feels amazing.
Mhm. And what is it like relating, to your friends, your classmates, your teachers? Because, you're a star now, whether you want to accept it or not. How is that relation like?
Well, people would see me on the school compound and be like, "Champion, wagwan, champion."
Yeah,
That made me feel so good.
yeah.
So yeah, that was it.
You absolutely deserve it without a shadow of a
Wow.
doubt.
So we're in the season of World Cup and everything, and I would think that World Cup has kind of dampened the attention on netball. But what has the response been like, towards both schools winning in this season of World Cup? Ashari, do you find persons are still as excited about this as, a World Cup match or whatever?
If they truly love the sport, then football cannot come anywhere near it.
Wow.
Bold
Wow.
statement, especially in the World Cup season. Verbal statement.
There's- I feel there's a little bias there, Jonathan. I feel,
A little.
I feel like there's a
Oh
little bias.
boy.
What about you, Miss Brown?
I am not a football fan. However,
Okay.
I felt that the constant, I would call them massacres, that our team has been delivering throughout the competition and how they've been improving and everything. I
Mm,
believe the win was just
mm,
the icing on the cake, and then
Mm.
everybody just gravitated. I was like, yes, because each week the support grew
mm.
more and more from the school community, from the stakeholders, the
Yes.
parents, the principals. It just grew, and trust
Wow.
me, I'm like, what World Cup?
Wow. 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 But that's good though. That's good though. And I see Brianna is back with us. Brianna, I was asking the question. We're in a season of World Cup and everybody putting attention on that. So do you think netball is getting the attention that it deserves?
Well, good afternoon, good evening, everybody.
Hello.
Um, I think the real lovers of netball, I don't think they'll get distracted by World Cup. You have to be a real lover. So everyone over there is like not a real lover, who is like they support football mostly, but the real lovers they would not get distracted.
Mm. All right, all right. Spoken like a true champion. Them serious about the netball though, John.
Yes. Super serious. And I want to throw the same question to Brianna. What is it like now, being a champion? Relating to your fellow classmates, your schoolmates, your teachers, etc. What's it like on campus?
I mean, it's a great feeling. Everywhere I walk, I hear congratulations. People are
Mm-hmm.
hugging me. And it's first time we're winning the under 19, so everyone is just really happy for us, and the energy from the school, their
Mm-hmm.
support is very good.
Awesome, awesome, and you guys absolutely deserve it. And please accept our congratulations from us here at Campus Connection at Love 101. You guys are awesome. Netball is a great sport. Clearly, it's contending with football as per
I
the statement that
know,
Miss Brown
right?
heard. Sorry,
If
made
you're a
earlier.
real lover of netball, listen.
Oh boy. All the very best for the future. And we're looking forward to more greatness from Glenmuir and St. Catherine High.
Thank you.
Thank
Congrats
you.
again,
Thank
guys.
you.
All right, all right, all right. Boy,
Mm,
I tell you, I always love these type of stories. Persons speaking of how they, you know,
mm-hmm.
triumph and all of that, even in the face of challenges and adversities.
Wow.
Wow,
The
indeed.
real lovers of netball out there. And the real lover. It's time for a break, y'all.
It is time. It's time. It's time. We'll be back after these messages.
Auntie Donna.
Hi guys, Auntie Donna here, and I'm here to tell you about Phoenix Vision Center. And as you guys know, Auntie Donna is the brand ambassador for Phoenix Vision. At Phoenix Vision, we have the best eye care service and the best prices on designer frames. We have 3 locations here in Jamaica: Champions Plaza in Falmouth, St. Anne's Bay, and of course, 10th Street in Port Maria. Call us or WhatsApp us at 876-589-8327. See you there. Auntie Donna said that.
Make people proud of you.
Importers. The Jamaica Customs Agency is making its contactless clearance process for non-commercial shipments available until January 6, 2023. This will enable you to clear your cargo without having to visit a warehouse to do a physical inspection. Here are your options. You may request contactless clearance through your freight forwarder. Your freight forwarder may offer contactless clearance to you. Your agent will indicate if you've been selected under the contactless clearance process. Importers, use contactless clearance and avoid the wait. For further details, email contactlessclearance@jca.gov.jm. Jamaica Customs, keeping our customers in focus.
Bible Society of the West Indies, located at 24 Hadley Park Plaza, is hosting its annual pre-Christmas sale commencing Monday, December 12th. Special discounted prices on most items in stock, from Bibles to books, water bottles to communion sets, hair shawls to key rings, and so much more. It will also host its Customer Appreciation Week from Monday, December 19 to Saturday, December 24. We look forward to seeing you. Telephone number 876-339-3501. We are open from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. on weekdays and 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturdays.
Okay, where are the campus lights? Students are strap up in a price.
Welcome back. Welcome back. It's that time.
It is indeed that time, and I'm ready. I am ready for this
Okay.
time.
Oh Lord, help us, Lord. Help us.
Talk to the people. Talk to the people.
All right, so it's time for Let's Talk About It. We've been talking about it. Now it's time to talk about
To really talk
it.
about it.
We have our guests with us, Senator Damian Crawford, spokesperson on education, training, and competitiveness. We have Donovan Campbell, youth coordinator at Trumpet Call Ministries. We have Mrs. Glenisha Higgins, Christian life coach. We have Noel Lewin, youth prime minister in the National Youth Parliament of Jamaica. And of course, we have Sandrine Morris, the opposition leader in the National Youth Parliament of Jamaica. And all of them are here to discuss this topic, reviewing the age of consent. What are the pros and what are the cons?
We want to know. We want to know. And just in case you're watching us online, you can go ahead and share the live stream with your friends, your families, your schoolmates, etc., because this conversation is about to be very interesting. We may have to come off season break to do a part 2. Who knows? I'm just joking.
Listen.
Yeah, but this is going to be a heavy show with heavy hitters. I'm really looking forward
I'm here.
to.
I'm at the farm, so I'm gonna take out my video, okay?
Okay, Sir Crawford. No problem. All right. So welcome everybody.
Hello.
Yeah, man, are you hearing us? Greetings, everybody. Are you hearing us?
Okay.
All right, great. All right, so let's get right into it. We want to ask the question very straightforward. Are you for or against raising the age of consent? We'll start with Mrs. Higgins. You can go ahead and share your stance.
Great evening, everyone. Certainly, I am for raising the age of consent.
Is there a particular reason why?
Yeah, tell us why.
I mean, at age 16, teenagers can hardly identify or make decisions without changing their minds a few weeks or months later. So I really don't think that at age 16, they're at the age to decide that, oh, yes, I can consensually have sex.
Donovan?
Honestly,
Unmute.
I stand, on the side of allowing it to be raised, definitely, because at the end of the day, when you think about sex carries a lot of weight in the realm of the spirit, you know what I mean, and that's responsibility. And I don't believe that a lot of young people at the age of 16 are ready for such responsibility. So,
Sir Crawford, are you hearing us now? Thank you, Donovan.
I'm hearing you. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, man,
Yes,
we're
we're
hearing
hearing
you.
you.
So we want to,
Well,
well, I think we all know your stance, but for those who may not know, what's your stance as relates to raising or leaving the age of consent?
oh, 100% with the increase in the age of consent.
And what's your reason?
Well, for one, we're trying to move our secondary experience from a 5 year to a 7 year, which means that the graduating age is moving from 17 to 19. So that is an important aspect. And the second most important aspect is that we have the circumstances, the environment that cause for high predatory behavior among adults in teens, in particular teen girls. That environment include low income or high poverty. Over 512,000 persons living below the poverty line. And research have shown that food has often been used as a gift for sexual favors. A cultural acceptance of high difference between age, in particular male age and female age. And we also have a circumstance of high sexualization of our children, meaning exposure to sexual content, to sexual interest, and to sexual desires. So, with those and the outcomes of the probability of pregnancies, in
Yeah.
particular ill-prepared parenting and unwanted births, I believe it is necessary to make legislative intervention.
Okay. Thank you so much. Noel, what's your stance?
Good night, everyone. Thank you very much for having me. Well, I definitely agree with raising the age of consent. My reason is because our males, let me point out in particular, in society tend to prey on these younger females because of how they can take advantage of them, one, and also manipulate them in ways that is pleasing to themselves. So I think it is necessary to help our youth to further mature and understand life before consenting to something that can affect your life in a negative way or severe way. So I definitely agree with raising the age of consent.
Okay. Sandri, okay, seems as if we lost Sandrine. All right.
All right.
Mhm.
So just to throw this question to everyone, what would you say are some of the most persons seem to agree that the age of consent needs to be raised? What are some of the negative effects that sexual intercourse can have on people, young people aged, at that age, around 16, 17? What are some of the impacts that it will have? And I'll throw that to Mrs. Higgins first.
Okay. Well, first of all, most 16-year-olds, they're still in school. And we know that they always say that education is the key. Yes, not necessarily being schooled, but education. If they're in school, they're being educated. And if while you're in school, when you should be focusing on book, you're focusing on man or woman, that's distraction. Them say books before boys. I don't know it fully, but you know that little thing that we've learned while growing up. So it's definitely a distraction. And then especially for women, the emotional stress that it comes with, especially for the first time when you know a woman gives up the virginity and then the attachment that comes and all of that. And then just the fact that we're living in a society where women are so sexualized and even abused, really. And the females at such an early age can also face that kind of thing. At 16-year-old, how can you handle that? You know, you don't have much experience in life. You're stressing over schoolwork. So focus on schoolwork and not on sex and all those things.
Okay. And let's go to Donovan. What is your take?
You know, Senator Crawford made mention of the poverty.
All right. Seems as if Donovan is having some network issues.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Noel, you can just jump in.
Most definitely. So I think one of the main consequences of having sex at that age could be teenage pregnancy for females. That's
Mm-hmm.
one where, because of the illiteracy surrounding sex education, and this is a big issue affecting our community and also our country as a whole, where most females and males are not educated or does not possess the necessary teaching or information to navigate the hormonal implications or just the processes that comes with having sex at that young age. So I think one could be the psychological impacts, meaning how um, it changes your mood and how you basically want to feel the euphoric feeling, whatsoever feeling that comes with pleasure. And also, as I mentioned earlier, teenage pregnancy. And we know that, again, that is a big issue in our country where, because of, as I mentioned, the illiteracy on sex education, most of these males and females have children young. And then we know the consequences of that. It could be a case where they drop out of school. It can be a case where the child or children grow up and they're being malnourished or neglected, or they repeat the cycle of being a delinquent or something of that sort. So it's a lot of consequences, right? But I think one main thing is teenage pregnancy at this moment.
Okay. And Senator Crawford, if you're still with us, what would you say are some of the effects of having sexual intercourse at such an early stage?
Well, I go further than sexual intercourse because the age of consent also seeks to protect the child from adult predatory activity.
Mm-hmm.
So, one benefit of disparity in age in sexual intercourse is the lower experience, the lower income, and the heightened expectation of the child versus the adult.
Mm-hmm.
So often child expects more from the relationship, thus the heightened expectation. And with the lower experience and lower income is often not an equal ground in the relationship and the decisions that are made in the relationship. These decisions include condom usage. These decisions include when and how sex is to be engaged in, and what they are comfortable with because they are not really aware of all the things that exist. The other reality is the probability of STD, again, because of their lower power within the relationship. And a lot of people ignore the importance of power in relationships. Some men of equal age with their partner can use economic power if their partner is unemployed and have power in the relationship. Others, with the threat of violence, can use that as a source of power and have higher power imbalance within the relationship. An adult and a child often have this power imbalance, which exposes them to basically sexual manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the probability of pregnancy, which comes as well with that, and the natural distractions of a time where there's a need for focus during school, and natural distractions that come with taking your life experiences to another level, and to be engaged in sex and sexual activity.
Mm-hmm.
So the age gap is, in my opinion, the biggest threat. When two children are experimenting, the threats are not power based. they are lack of knowledge base, and that can always be limited by exposing sex education in schools. Sex
Yes.
education in school does not limit the power imbalance that exists between the adult and a child in a sexual relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And so, therefore, a 40-year-old with a 17-year-old is a natural power imbalance that even when the 17-year-old is aware, might not be able to impose their opinion.
But Sir Crawford, a lot of persons I'm seeing on social media in response to the statement that you made, concerning the age of consent, they're saying that children are having sex from as early as 10 years old. So
Mm.
would raising the age of consent really be a deterrent even concerning them, stop
First of
stopping?
all, it's a rubbish argument. It's a
Mm-hmm.
rubbish argument because if you take it to its natural conclusion,
Mm-hmm.
where you are against an increase because it would not stop them from having, then
Mm-hmm.
you should therefore not have a age of consent at all.
Mm.
So if the age of consent won't stop our young children from having sex,
Mm-hmm.
then why you put it at 16? Because 16 is not stopping the 14-year-old from having
Yes,
sex.
yes,
You
yes.
extend that conversation to its natural conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
But I am saying to these people further, other than the ridiculousness of the argument,
Mm-hmm.
that the age of consent is directed towards the predator, the adult. The risk that it implies is
Mm-hmm.
that the person who have sex with a child has then committed statutory rape, and
Mm-hmm.
by extension, it is that person that the deterrent is aimed towards. The deterrent is aimed towards the 35-year-old male who is of the opinion that
Mm-hmm.
sexual activity with a 17-year-old girl is somehow masculine and acceptable. And
Yeah.
so, what the law changes to say to this 35-year-old male that it is not only illegal, but you're likely to be caught with Sissoka's improvement and with the DNA automatic testing. And if caught, you'll get extended criminal and prison sentences,
Mm-hmm.
10 to 15 years, and you will be on the child molestation or registry into perpetuity, for which you'll have to be able or will not be able to attend certain parties or host certain events or partake in certain activities. And that will be public to schools and other things. So all of those should serve as a deterrent to the adult. And by extension, by deterring the adult, you protect the child.
Understandable. Totally understandable. Donovan, as a youth leader, what are some of the measures that the church is instituting or instilling to help to mitigate against predatory behaviors?
As it relates to that, it's just a matter of understanding, really. But from the church's standpoint, and what Minister Crawford made mention of is educating our young people and allowing them to have the knowledge as it relates to what sex is and
Mm-hmm.
having the understanding as to how they govern themselves. We don't really have to go extensively into it being a explanation whereas it gets graphic, but just allowing them to understand that sex in itself was created by God and it carries weight and it
Mm-hmm.
was created for man and his wife. It is a joining in his ministry unto God and a representation of who Christ is to the church.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have that knowledge of that responsibility, I would urge you not to take on such responsibility prematurely. And this is what is happening. And I believe it's a lack of knowledge on both parts. But I concur with Minister Crawford as it relates to educating our young people, letting and from a spiritual standpoint, allowing them to understand the spiritual aspect of sex, because sex is not an extracurricular activity or supposed to be done out
Mm-hmm.
of expressing yourself out of sheer pleasure, but it carries a lot of weight in the realm of the spirit when you think about soul ties in
Mm-hmm.
itself, and you wanting to move on and having issues moving on in the realm of the spirit also. So I want, if it is the responsibility, and yes, it is the responsibility of the church to educate, because this was created by our God.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was this
Understandable.
this was created by our God, and it was created to be experience within the confines of marriage. So anything outside of the confines of a godly marriage, you will have these issues happening. You will have a predator looking at a child. And scripture reminds us that any man lay harm on any one of these little ones, he better have a milestone was tied around his neck and he sink to the bottom of the ocean. You know, even if you can say customarily in some countries a child can be given to a man, but is it ideal? Is it ideal?
I'd want to bring in the opposition leader in the National Youth Parliament of Jamaica, Sandrine. Sandrine, are you hearing us?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, man, we're hearing you. So, based on the conversations so far, what would you consider the ideal age of consent? What would that be
I
for
would
you?
I would agree with the age of 18. And one of the reasons for that is that as someone who majors in law, I think I've seen where everything that we do that concerns children or minors, they can't really do it on their own until they're 18. So until you're 18, you don't have the capacity to enter into a contract on your own. Until you're 18, you can't drink if you want to, well, legally. And so I was always concerned with the fact that we restrict young people in everything except in something that is so sacred and something that can destroy their lives. And so I do agree with it being 18 just to fit in with everything else because they can't do anything else until they're 18. However, I am of the view that, policy looks good and it's nice on paper. But one of the things, and I am young, so I would have interacted with young people, and we know that now that it's at 16, there are many young people who are indulging in wrong, and they're not. No, we can count on our hands the handful of persons who actually get caught or charged for this. And so I believe, policy is one way to put it. And it would really look good if we implement policies. It shows that we're taking, a step ahead. But I do believe education, as I've been hearing, is important to let our young people know that, this is wrong. Because changing the policy, but the act is continuing, they will probably just find more discreet ways to do it. And so when we change the policy, we also have to go into the schools, go into their spaces, and, educate them on why we want to make this change.
So let me throw this one to Noel. We heard Senator Crawford say that the age of consent, raising the age of consent, would actually discourage predatory behavior. But what lesson would it teach the young people for raising the age of consent?
Okay, thank you very much. Well, I believe it would not teach us anything because, as Sandrine mentioned, I think Senator Crawford alluded to this in his interview on Small Jamaica. The raising the age of consent will not have the effect, let me say, that we want it to have unless the law is flexible and enforceable in a way that it discourages these predators, that it discourages these young people from really going against the law, right? We know that in Jamaica, and Sandrine just mentioned, we are youths as well. We interact every day with other young people. And we know that this is a fact where persons are being raped and nothing comes out of it. Why? Because the law really is not advanced enough. It is not modern. It is not flexible. It is not enforceable in a way that majority of the persons who commit these acts rather against the law are being charged for their act. So I definitely agree that it needs to have some enforcement, like a stronger punishment for persons who go against the law. The law needs to be part of this
Yes.
Policy, I think, because just saying to a normal Jamaican, and I learned this just the other day doing youth parliament, just saying that the age of consent will be raised and not really explaining that, this would also include so and so, and that doesn't mean that person still have. However, as Senator Crawford mentioned, it will be to protect younger persons from persons older who may take advantage of them because of their age and all that stuff. My
Yes.
point is make the law more modern, flexible, and also rigid that it really punish these persons who try their best or act every day in a way that is contrary to the law. So I would say let the
Okay.
law be more.
Okay. Okay. Glenisha, is abstinence still a thing? We really want to know. Is it a thing? Is it cool? It's 2022. Is it still a thing?
I mean, if we're to talk about culturally, I'm not sure if it is so much of a thing because our our culture is so sexualized. You hear it in the songs, you see it in advertisements all over. When you look, it's just fully sexualized. And if you're not doing it, then it's almost like you would feel left out or feel like you're not a part of pop culture. But it is definitely beneficial, and I feel like the church, we should do a lot more in letting people understand that, listen, there are benefits to abstaining, and then not just telling them, oh, don't have sex without not being married, but also provide the strategies that they can use to abstain. Because, as I said, we're living in a culture where everywhere we look, we are seeing sex. So, sex here, sex there, sex everywhere. So, how do I overcome? How do I abstain? I'm dating somebody, because even in the church, I remember somebody said to me some time ago that 99.9% of the church, of the unmarried church, is having sex. And it broke my heart, because we are supposed to not be having sex according to scripture. And by sex, I'm not just speaking to sexual intercourse, but everything that surrounds the arousal and the sexual pleasure of the human body, right? So I really believe that abstinence is making sense. My husband and I, we did not get involved until we were married, and it proved to have been beneficial, because one, we please God. And that's the whole purpose of us living here on earth. We please God. That's the first thing. And then we were able to make the decision to commit to each other without having that sexual blindfold. Because, when sexual hormones and emotions get involved, it can be harder now to make decisions based on characteristics. So we were able to just make the decision without having that blindfold. And then the truth is that some people might say, oh, I'm not marrying a pussy in a bag, or boy, I want to know what I'm getting involved in. The truth is that whether or not people are sexually involved, sex is a learned skill. And so even if you are having sex with Tom, Dick, Harry, Mary, Jane, and Sue, once you come to Patrice now, you will have to learn Patrice all over again and know that what worked for Sue is not going to work for Patrice, and so on. And so I really want to push that abstinence. It makes sense. You are ladies, men, you are whole, you are beautiful, and you don't have to sexualize. You don't have to give it up, because it is a treasure, and it ought to be kept that way until it's time. So I feel like the church should do more in speaking out, but also not saying don't have sex, because I feel like everybody already knows that we're not supposed to be having sex outside of marriage, but also providing strategies. How can I overcome in the temptation in this sexualized world? Because the temptation is real, I can tell you, right? And so the strategies, I believe, are important. And then discuss sex. Don't make sex is not sinful. So that's the first thing. So persons have it wrong out there. Sex is not sinful. Sex in a particular context is sinful. Sex is a beautiful gift given to God, given to us by God, and we ought to utilize it in the proper context.
All right.
And so we have to reteach it.
Yes. I tell you, we're gonna have to pick this up again in our next season. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate your thoughts and the value that you would have added to this conversation.
Yes, yes, certainly. And we just want to thank all of you for just the insight that we got on this program today.
Boy,
Wow.
we did say heavy hitters.
Heavy hitters.
Yeah, man, we
We
did
got
say
we
that.
got we got it from every angle, like.
Definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. This has been Campus Connection. We want to say a special
Thank you
thank
so
you to
much.
our producer Tony K. Bramfield, technical support Timoy Butler. We want to say thank you to all our guests and to you, our lovely listeners, who you guys were with us every step of the way for this season. Big up on yourself, and we'll see you next season.